Hey guys, welcome to another edition of our Children's Ministry podcast. And today I want to talk about how to deal with conflict. And conflict is inevitable, whether that's conflict with a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody you're living with at home, brother, sister, maybe it's a classmate, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a team member, another volunteer in your ministry. Conflict is something that just from time to time, we as imperfect people, dealing with other imperfect people, conflict just happens. And so how do we go about dealing with conflict in a healthy way that is mutually beneficial for everyone involved? Well, here are 3 tips that have helped me deal with conflict that I think will really be helpful to you the next time that maybe you need to deal with conflict. The first tip is to start with the rule of 3. And here's what I mean by the rule of 3. The first time maybe somebody says or does something that is hurtful or even offensive to me, I typically let it slide. I don't bring it up. You go, you know what? They probably didn't mean it. It was accidental, or they were joking. That's fine. So I let it go. It's a one-time thing. If it happens again, I make a note of that mentally, and I go, okay, that one-time thing has now become a pattern. But okay, I'm gonna let it go this other time. And then for me, if it happens again, I go, you know what? That's the 3rd time. That pattern is now a problem that we need to solve together. And so at that point, that's where I'll talk to that person, and I'll talk a little bit more about even how I go about doing that in a minute. But I always start with the rule of 3. And for me, the rule of 3 has been really helpful in not overreacting to something, but also not letting something fester for a long time. Because you don't want to wait too long to bring something up. Because people, they can only respect the boundaries they know are there. And so I don't want to overreact to every little thing that comes up, but I don't want to underreact and wait weeks and months. Or I've even counseled people that have waited years to bring up problems, which is just way too long. And so for me, the rule of 3 is a good gauge to go, okay, once or twice is probably a mistake. 3rd time, no, this pattern, this has now become a problem, and it's not going to go away by itself. And so we need to have a conversation and work it out. And so start with the rule of 3. I think that's a good place to start. The other thing that I keep in mind is I head into situations where I need to deal with conflict, whether it's helping others resolve conflict or interpersonal conflict, is that I realize that all of it is never my fault, but some of it is always my fault. As imperfect people, we bring our imperfection, our quirks, our idiosyncrasies into every relationship. And so when I have an issue with somebody, or whether it's joking around too much or it's just something that's been hurtful, I know that I play some part in that. Just being an imperfect person, I play some part in every conflict that I'm involved in. And you do too. Maybe that's a 1% thing, maybe that's 5%, maybe it's 10%, whatever percent it is. I go in going, okay, what's my percent here? What do maybe I need to apologize for first before I talk about an apology that even I'm looking for. And so whenever you go into any situation where there's conflict, where you're having conflict with someone, realize that all of it is never your fault, but some of it is always your fault. And then lastly, confront like you'd want to be confronted. And when you approach someone about something that they've done that has been hurtful to you, talk to them the way that you would want them to talk to you if the situation were reversed. And a couple ways that you may want to keep this in mind is go to that person privately. Don't bring something personal up in front of a group of people. Go to them one-on-one. Don't do it over the phone because you can't see body language. Don't do it over email because you can't see body language or hear tone. Do it face to face. Go to them. Don't make them come to you. You go to them and talk with them. Think about your tone. Make sure your tone isn't coming off angry. Make sure it's even keel. Think about the language that you're using. Think through the words that you're going to use. Would these be words that you would feel comfortable hearing back from somebody? One of the phrases that I use whenever I need to deal with conflict is I'll go, hey, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but when you fill in the blank, do this, it hurts me, and I'd really appreciate it if you didn't do it anymore. And again, I know you probably didn't mean to. You probably didn't even realize it was hurting me, but it is. And so I just wanted to talk to you about it and resolve that, because I care about our friendship, care about our relationship, and I don't want anything in between us. And so I kind of sandwich it that way, with that idea of, you know what, this person and most people that hurt us don't really mean to, and a lot of times don't even realize it. And so I just kind of go in believing the best about them. So as you're dealing with conflict, whether that's today or this week or this month, if you're not in conflict right now, that's great. If you are, these tips will be helpful. If you're not, conflict's coming. It's just a matter of time. But the next time you need to deal with conflict, start with the rule of 3. Realize that all of it is never your fault, but some of it is always your fault, and confront like you'd want to be confronted. If you do that, I think you will have a much more positive experience resolving conflict between you and someone else the next time that it comes up.